Over the past 2 years, I've tested quite a few natural supplements on this channel. Some worked, some didn't, and some, well, I wasted a lot of money on versions that did absolutely nothing. After all that testing, 3 supplements really stood out. Not because they're miracle supplements, but because they actually surprised me. I noticed effects that were stronger than I expected, which doesn't happen often with supplements. I'll cut to the chase. The 3 supplements that surprised me that I'm gonna talk about are Shilajit, Korean Ginseng, and sea moss. But here's the problem. A lot of people, including myself, buy the wrong version of these supplements and waste their money. They either get a fake product, contaminated batches, or versions so weak that they may as well be taking nothing at all. So in this video, I'm going to show you why I chose these 3, but more importantly, what to look for to avoid getting ripped off if you do decide to buy them. Because knowing what to take is useless if you don't know the right things to look out for. Let me start with the one that surprised me the most, Shilajit. Shilajit is a mineral-rich resin that comes from rocks in high-altitude mountain ranges. It's been used for centuries in traditional Ayurvedic medicine, and it's known for energy, testosterone support, and recovery. When I first tested it, I noticed better energy throughout the day, not jittery energy like when you've had a shot of coffee, but sustained, steady energy. My recovery improved and I just felt more switched on mentally. But here's where it kind of gets tricky. Most Shilajit on the market is either fake, contaminated, or so processed that it's basically useless. Let me explain. Real Shilajit in its natural form is a resin, sticky, tar-like, dark brown, or black, but you can also get it in capsules, gummies, or a powder. Capsules and gummies are more convenient, I get that, but from what I've been told by people who know more about this stuff than I do, the resin form tends to be stronger because it's less processed. You're getting it closer to its natural state. That's why I personally prefer to go with the resin. The bigger issue is the fake Shilajit altogether. Some sellers mix cheaper substances with a bit of actual Shilajit and call it pure. Others source it from polluted areas where it's contaminated with heavy metals like lead and arsenic. I actually bought fake Shilajit once early on, and I only figured it out when I did the burn test. I actually talked about it in a previous video. Real Shilajit doesn't burn. It bubbles and melts because it's a mineral-rich resin. Fake Shilajit, on the other hand, it catches fire like plastic or rubber because it's mixed with lots of fillers. Whether you're buying resin, capsules, or gummies, the most important thing is making sure that it's actual, real Shilajit from a trustworthy source. You can't just grab the cheapest option on Amazon and hope for the best. So here's what you need to check before you go buying Shilajit. First, if you're going with resin, make sure it's actually resin form, not powder disguised as resin. Real resin is sticky and tar-like. Second, check for third-party testing certificates. Real brands will test for heavy metals and provide lab results. If a company doesn't show you the test results, I'd walk away. Third, look for the fulvic acid percentage. Good quality Shilajit should have a high fulvic acid content. That's what gives you the actual benefits. And finally, check where it's sourced from. The best Shilajit comes from high-altitude regions like the Himalayas or the Altai Mountains. If the brand won't tell you where it's from, that could be a red flag. Now, the Shilajit I currently recommend is this one from Shilajit. It's a resin, it's tested for heavy metals, and they provide the testing certification that you'd want to see. This is how you take it. Dissolve a pea-sized amount in warm water or milk. It takes about 30 seconds to mix it in, and you're good to go. The traditional way is to take it on an empty stomach. For enhanced absorption, it's also traditionally taken with ghee or honey. I've been using this one, and I'm happy with it. I can feel a difference compared to the cheaper stuff I've tried before. No headaches or questionable reactions. I will put a link in the description for you if you'd like to try it yourself. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And this one does have a little bit of a story behind it, but it will make sense in the end. So Korean Panax ginseng, specifically Korean red or black ginseng, is known for a whole bunch of things, mainly energy, mental clarity, immune support, and male vitality. It's one of the most well-researched adaptogens out there. When it works, you feel it. Clean, sustained energy without crashes. But here's the thing about ginseng. Real, high-quality Korean ginseng is heavily faked, and I mean heavily. Studies show that over 20% of ginseng products on the market today are either fake or so diluted that they're basically useless. Part of the problem is that there are different types of ginseng, Korean, American, Siberian, and they're completely different plants with different effects. But companies will sell cheap versions and just call it ginseng without specifying what type it actually is. Real Korean ginseng needs to be grown for at least 6 years to develop the right concentration of ginsenosides. These are the active compounds that actually give you the benefits that you're probably looking for. But growing it for 6 years is expensive, so a lot of companies use younger roots which are cheaper, but they just don't have the same potency. Some Sometimes they even mix this weaker stuff with fillers to make it look like it's more. You end up with a supplement that's technically ginseng, but it won't do much for the person using it. And because so many people have tried these weak, maybe fake versions, ginseng has this reputation of being a supplement that just doesn't work. I've spoken to many people who tried it once and felt nothing and wrote it off completely. But from my experience, when you get the real, properly grown Korean ginseng, it's a completely different league. Let me tell you how I learned this for myself. I actually flew to South Korea. I went to a place called Gyeongsan, where 80% of Korean ginseng comes from. And I spent a morning on a ginseng farm with a company that actually grow the stuff out there. They pulled 6-year-old roots out of the ground right in front of me. 6 years. They explained that the younger roots don't have the same concentration of the active compounds I mentioned earlier, so it has to be grown for this long. They showed me the certifications to look for: GAP, GMP, and HACCP. And then I was taken to a restaurant where I ate and I drank all kinds of real high-quality ginseng, samgyetang soup, deep-fried ginseng root, everything. Now here's the significant thing. When I got there, I was jet-lagged. I had 0 sleep the night before, and I should have been useless by the afternoon. I thought I'd be completely wiped out, but I wasn't. I had real sustained energy all through the day. I didn't drink any coffee, I didn't take any stimulants, I just had a lot of ginseng because they were giving me lots of it throughout the day. And at the end of the trip, I even had the energy for a short workout. That's when I realized, and I can categorically say, when you get the real stuff, the properly grown, high-quality Korean ginseng, you can feel the power of it. So here's what to check for when buying ginseng. The stuff I was taking throughout this day was Korean red and Korean black ginseng, not just ginseng. Look for those certifications I mentioned, the GAP, GMP, HACCP. If the brand has these, then they're doing quality control. And yeah, like I said, real Korean ginseng is more expensive, but it is worth it. Because the cheap stuff, it's highly likely that it genuinely won't do anything for you. The ginseng I currently recommend is from the actual company I met out there. You can get it in a variety of forms. I get hold of the sachets, and you can just take one every morning, like a multivitamin. And as usual, I will put a link in the description for anybody who needs it, but I'll tell you this now, it's not cheap. But this is just one of those things where genuinely you get what you pay for. So the next one is sea moss. Now sea moss is packed with minerals, 92 out of the 102 minerals that your body needs. When I first tried sea moss, it gave me a kick that I still remember. And since then, I've realized how nutrient dense seafood actually is and how much we ignore it in our diets. But just like the other two, there is a catch, unfortunately. Most sea moss today is pool grown, not wildcrafted, and that makes a huge difference. Real sea moss grows in the ocean, attached to rocks, absorbing all of those good minerals from the seawater. Pool-grown sea moss is grown in controlled environments, basically big saltwater tanks, and it doesn't have the same mineral content. Some sellers will even add synthetic nutrients to pool-grown to make it look like it has more minerals, but your body doesn't absorb them in the same way. And then there's the contamination issue. If sea moss isn't sourced from clean waters and properly prepared, it can cause problems. I've heard multiple stories of people getting diarrhea, constant nausea, all because they bought low-quality sea moss that wasn't cleaned or prepared properly. A lot of sellers lie about the quality of their product. They know people want sea moss, so they'll cut corners to make more profit. So you have to pay attention whether you're buying it raw to clean and make the gel for yourself, or if you're just buying the pre-made gel, quality matters. Here's what you need to check. Make sure that it's organic, wildcrafted, and not pool grown. The brand should tell you exactly where it's sourced from. Sometimes they even go as far as saying which ocean and which region. If you're buying raw sea moss leaves to make for yourself, look for the color and the texture. Real sea moss varies in color. It's not perfectly uniform all the time. If you're buying pre-made gel, check the ingredients. It should just be sea moss and water. If there's a bunch of other stuff in there, then just walk away. To be honest, most sea moss brands don't provide certificates like Shilajit or Ginseng products do. So you're relying more on checking that it's wildcrafted and organic for yourself. That's the best you can do with the current sea moss options. You can take it in a number of ways. When I take it, I do 2 teaspoons in my morning smoothie. Some people put it in just water, tea, you can even cook with it, and you'll probably notice the effect pretty quickly. After a few weeks, I noticed my baseline energy was a lot better. So Shilajit for energy and recovery, Korean ginseng for sustained energy and mental clarity, and sea moss for foundational minerals. But there's one question I see pop up a lot. Can you take them all every day? Some people do. I'm not a believer in taking too many of these kinds of things every day. But when I do, I cycle these in. Maybe try a week on and a week off. And listen, knowing what to take is only half of of the battle. If you buy the wrong versions, you're just wasting your money. So spend a little bit of time researching for yourself. As usual, links to everything I recommended will be in the description and on this QR code for anyone who needs them. Have you tried any of these 3 and did they work for you? Drop your experience in the comments. I do read a lot of comments and some of them really can help other viewers too. So please share your experiences. And remember, supplements support a healthy lifestyle. They don't replace good sleep, good food, and training smart. But when you get the right versions, they can fill the gaps and make a real difference. So with that being said, thank you for watching and I'll see you on the next one.